brought to you by South Infertility and IVF.
Welcome to today's episode of Conceive. Today we are going to again continue the discussion on diet. I have Ms. Priyanka. She is a nutrition specialist from Australia. I'm Dr. Anita Mani, and I've been doing a lot of special editions on infertility. So diet is very, very important. So we're going to discuss more about diet, and today we're going to discuss about healthy foods.
Yes, thank you for that introduction. So we thought we could, give some insight on what food is really, really good, short bursts of nutrition and health. And I heard that you plant some food in your own garden. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. My new fad is having sprouts. So I'm doing a lot of sprouts.
So how do you make them, and how is it easy?
It's quite easy actually. You just need a couple of trays, and maybe if you have some loose soil or sand, or if you don't have that, have cocoa peat. And if you live in a flat, you could even order cocoa peat online. I'm sure that you'll find it in Amazon. I have not done that, but I'm sure you'll find it. Just get some cocoa peat in a small tray, soak the seeds, whatever you want. You could use any seed which is available in your kitchen. So you could have your chickpeas, you can have green grams, you can have fenugreek, you can have fennel, mustard, you name it, any seed edible. You can just soak it in the water for a couple of hours, for maybe 6 hours or 12 hours. Then you just cover the trays with the cocoa peat and put this soaked seeds, and maybe leave a small loose layer of cocoa peat on the top, and use your water spray to water it for 1 or 2 days, and within 1 or 2 days you will get a nice sprout. So when you have a nice thick sprout, it looks quite good, and you can use these sprouts for salads. And I'm sure that today Priyanka is going to explain a lot about salads, because it's about healthy foods, right?
People have a misconception that salads are healthy, but they also taste bad. You have to force yourself to eat them, but I think that's not true. You can make salads exciting and colorful and
tasty
and super tasty. Yeah.
So how can we make tasty and healthy salads?
I think our brain is designed to like a variety of food. So if we keep eating the same kind of food, especially vegetables, if we eat the same, we'll get a little bit sick of it. And it's important to change the texture, the color.
Be creative.
Exactly. So it's a good pathway to release your creative energy and be healthy. I'll give you some examples. So instead of just cutting cucumber boring every day, you can shave it using a peeler, and then it's got a different texture, and it's really nice.
And it looks nice, ribbony things in the salad.
And it tastes really good.
Yeah.
And you can do it different. For example, you can incorporate some fruit in a salad.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh, I know. I love pineapple in salads.
Yeah.
And watermelons. See, so if you make some salads with pineapple, even if you add something which is really bitter, it will still taste good.
It's got that really nice punch to it. So yeah, well, like you said, there's so much more interesting things you can do with salads. You can add, you can have nuts in there. You can have fruit. You can have all kinds of vegetables and sprouts, and it's just whatever you like. You put it in. You put like pomegranate seeds and quinoa if you like. Just everything.
And, when you talked about pomegranate, I like to make pomegranates along with some curd, yogurt. So it's a nice combination. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
So like we said before, salads
and you need to add a little bit of chili taste and something sweet, something sour. Instead of adding a vinaigrette dressing or a dressing that you would buy, you can make your own dressing. What I usually do is that I'll give you some practical tips. What I usually do is that I keep some chilies which I grow in my own garden, organic garden. So, you get a lot of chilies and you don't want to waste them, but you want to use it throughout the year. So, I just put it in olive oil and I'll keep it for a year. So, you can actually use that olive oil which is infused with the chilies for as a dressing. And I always keep some kind of syrups in the fridge. One would be lemon. So, lemon with sugar syrup as a concentrate. I'll have some ginger syrup. I even have some of my fruits in from my garden as syrups. So, they can be used as salad dressing. The advantage is that we know what has gone into it. So, we don't know the, whether they have added chemicals or preservatives in the salads that you buy from the shops. So, you can actually use organic stuff and you can limit what you want. So, when you make syrups, you can make, if you are using something sweet, you don't even have to add much sugar. You can add just a little bit of sugar. So, you make salads and you can use this dressing, you can change them. I'm actually planning to make some carrot sauce and beetroot sauce at home because it will look very attractive.
Yeah, that's a good plan. Instead of using food coloring, you're using...
Yeah, so instead of food coloring, which are again chemicals, and many of them are actually carcinogens. So, you could make your own colors. You can always make your food attractive by adding turmeric to it. It looks bright yellow.
And I think if you are making a salad, just putting a drizzle of oil on top of it, and I mean a drizzle, it really helps with incorporating the taste, and it even helps in digestion of those foods. Bioavailability is increased, and just get a good quality oil, put a very little amount on top of salads, and that's good.
And nuts, you mentioned about nuts.
Yeah.
So, you can actually make a salad a complete meal if you're adding nuts because it's a lot of protein and essential fatty acids. And it's quite good to have walnuts. It's full of vitamin E, and you can use pistachios, you can use badam, you can use cashews, but not a lot because they're packed with cholesterol. You can use dried fruits as well. So, you can, you're adding fresh fruits and you can even add dried fruits. Dried fruits are quite good.
Yeah, they're packed with antioxidants.
Yeah.
And I think I've mentioned antioxidants before. They're packed with, we have a lot of free radicals in our body, and these antioxidants from plant food help us in every single way for anti-cancer, anti-inflammation, anti-aging even. So it's really important to incorporate these foods packed in antioxidants into your daily life. If you want to look good, if you want to feel good, and avoid these chronic diseases, this is the way to go. Some examples of really antioxidant-packed fruit or vegetables are amla, or the Indian gooseberry. It has the most antioxidant-packed density, and just even eating one a day is, that's your requirement for the day.
When we're talking about the amla or the Indian gooseberry, what we find in the market these days, the big one, they're not the ones. You find the small, the old country gooseberries, the amla, they're the ones which are the best. They're getting more and more difficult to find now, but they are the best. Which other fruit would you suggest?
I think raisins. Dried raisins are really good. Apples are good, and cloves and cinnamon. They're amazing.
What about berries?
Berries, blueberries. It's really hard to get those kind of berries in tropical areas. But if you're from a different area, then berries, all kinds of berries, they help. Any berry, even amla is a berry. So all kinds of berries help in anti-inflammation and anti-cancer. So your aim when you look in the market should be colorful, plant-based variety. You can't go wrong.
What about fruits like papaya? What's your opinion about, how would they be nutritionally? It's quite freely available.
It's really good. Papaya is really good, but you know, as I said before, I think the importance.
And they say that as the doctors, we always say that take a lot of stuff which is orange in color because of the beta carotene.
Yeah.
Like as in carrots, papaya.
Basically, it is important to stick to that point where you eat a wide variety and you don't get, you know, because we read here and there that, you know, particular food's really good and then we get obsessed with it and we eat every day. So it's really important for the variety. Everything is good in a small amount. And, you know, fruits and vegetables, you can't go wrong with fruits and vegetables.
The more you eat, the better.
And a big variety. So papaya is really good.
But you have to eat.
Yeah, but you have to, not just like orange color is really good, but so is red and so is green.
Yeah, in watermelon and in tomatoes, they are quite rich in lycopene, which is quite good. And we give tablets for male infertility for the lycopene. You can actually get it from tomatoes and watermelon.
Yeah, you can fix erectile dysfunction with lycopene, so just eat watermelon. So
yeah, actually I've made a blog on a cocktail, which doesn't have alcohol. It's for erectile dysfunction. I can't even remember all the ingredients, but you know, if you add a lot of good stuff like passion fruit and a couple of fruits, and you make a cocktail, and it's similar to Viagra, basically.
A mocktail.
Yeah.
No alcohol.
Yeah, no alcohol. So
because that doesn't really
help,
does it?
That doesn't help. Alcohol has negative effect. So, yeah, there you go. You can find my old blog and read it. So, what other tips about healthy foods then?
Well, as I said before, when you go to a market, it's important, you know,
greens?
To have the
greens are good.
Yeah, it's important to have the willpower to not buy those energy dense, you know, processed food. So make sure you're full when you go and you're not hungry, so you can think that, you know, I'm going to buy fruits and vegetables, so later on when I am hungry I have no choice but to eat them. So greens, beans, lentils, you know, whole grains, this is what you should aim for. And healthy fats.
Yeah, how much of a bad thing you can eat? Like for example, if I love to eat cheese, how much can I eat? Like per day or per week?
Well, that is a
or is it good?
question for me, because it does depend, you know, it's got a lot of different factors to it, you know, where the cheese come from, you know, how much did you pay for
organic?
the cheese. Yeah, because that does make a lot of difference if you analyze.
So if you would you suggest taking only organic cheese?
Meat products. Definitely,
yes,
because that has, we're so similar to them, and there's so much hormones and antibiotics. It's really important, you know, bet your money on that and spend more.
What about milk? You know, people say that don't take milk, you don't need it. Some people say that, oh, you need calcium and protein. As doctors, we always used to say take a lot of milk to get calcium, but there's always a lot of controversy about milk. What's your suggestion about?
It is controversial. I think that's a bit, there's a population bias when it comes to milk. And I think, you know, not everyone can digest it.
Yes,
and I think you should know yourself. If you feel good on milk, I'm sure a lot of you lie to yourselves, you know, because it tastes good. But a lot of people can't digest it or get, you know,
they're intolerant.
Yeah. And
so they're lactose intolerant.
Yeah, when you do have even a little bit of a sensitivity, that can cause inflammation and have, you know, cause problems. So you have to be very careful. If you're a milk drinker, you know, make sure you're not sensitive to it. And make sure it's good, because again, the thing with hormones and and it's got a lot of fat. Like, it's a sneaky fat source.
So you can take milk and milk products if you're tolerant. That means you are not having problems with lactose intolerance. But again, try and get it organic and try and limit it, because it does have a lot of fats.
It is hard to buy mostly organic food because it's really expensive. And I think the better way...
If you live in a tropical country, you can have
some.
Sure,
but in general, organic foods is 40% more expensive, but you can eat more plant-based foods. I'm not saying completely restrict.
This program is brought to you by South Infertility and IVF.
South End Fertility and IVF, where hope meets happiness. Established in 2001 and guided by care, ethics and expertise, South End has completed over 10,000 ART cycles. It offers comprehensive infertility treatment for both men and women. Modern facilities and experienced team is the hallmark of South End. The centers are at Vasant Vihar, Gurgaon, Saket, Paschim Vihar and Amritsar. South End Fertility and IVF.
This program is brought to you by South Infertility and IVF.
I'm hearing a lot about different types of diets these days, especially, I don't know, diets with no carbohydrate, high protein, and diets with just fruit juice, and what do you call it, paleo diet, Atkins diet. What's your opinion about this so-called diets and fad diets?
Well, you know, people are really vulnerable about weight and health, and this makes a huge market where people can get lots of money, essentially. And what happened is everyone's trying to make their own diets or easy, quick fixes, and the poor, vulnerable people don't really research into it.
So are you saying that all these diet things, many of them are actually not genuine and it's like marketing?
Yeah, manipulative. Just like supplements or health drinks or health teas or slimming teas. Everything. It's a huge scam. There is no quick
Nobody
fix.
knows that. It does, like, you know, these are scams. Are you saying that slimming teas don't work, or?
I'm not saying it doesn't completely work. I'm just saying there's no substitute for good diet and healthy behavior like exercise and a non-sedentary lifestyle. You can't avoid that and expect, you know, to try something and just magically lose weight. That's not real.
What about the zero carb diet and all that?
Okay, so there's a lot of fad diets going around, and you know, I've had my friends try it or clients try it, and you need a healthy, balanced lifestyle, and that's really important. And you can't just avoid carbs. You need carbs, you need proteins, you need vitamins, you need everything. And there's no easy way. There's no...
Yeah, I mean, like, carbohydrates are a must for the metabolism of the body. The body or the cell makes all the energy from carbohydrate. In case there is no carbohydrate, then it will start using the fat. So many of these diets, what they do is that they're trying to completely stop having carbohydrate so that they mobilize fat. But what happens is that when the fat is metabolizing, it's a different pathway. It's not normal. It produces ketosis.
Ketones, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is that is a state in which, like, sometimes when a diabetic patient goes into a complication, we call it as ketoacidosis. So the body is actually very sick when it does that. So this ketoacidosis, like, our body uses it only when a body goes through a crisis, like a famine. So originally our body is storing this fat to utilize it when you don't get food for many days. You can't do that for a normal person to reduce weight because it's unhealthy. So that is not the way to do it. And you have to take small amount of carbohydrate with every meal. Only thing is that you can reduce the calories or reduce it, but you cannot eliminate it completely. Carbohydrate, it is a must. So that's first understanding. And if you take high protein without any carbohydrate or with carbohydrate, which many people do nowadays, the protein needs to be eliminated after metabolization through the kidneys. So it's like an extra burden to the kidneys if you take too much of proteins. So you can end up in renal problems if you take too much of protein on a long run. See, whatever waste products we have like urea or uric acid, these are actually byproducts of protein metabolism. So you should take protein only in a normal amount and not excessively. Okay, and then the other diet, like the one with the fruit juice, as you have explained earlier, you are removing all the fiber from the fruits when you are extracting juice, so which is also not good for your body. So ideally, all these marketing or all these diet replacement or meal replacement, what is going around is basically more of a marketing strategy for companies to make money. So it is not right to use a meal replacement powder or a drink and not take food. What is ideal and what you should do is that you should take a balanced meal cooked at home, whatever you cook at home, if possible organic, and take in a balanced way, and not take these fad diets and meal replacement and all that and fall into promise. You might even lose your money and your health.
That's very true, Doctor. Well said. There's also a lot of stigma around fat, and a lot of companies use lies about how fat works, to trick people into buying things. For example, we only have a fixed amount of fat cells. We don't lose fat or gain fat. We have the same amount of cells that shrink
and then
expand.
Yeah.
So when we do, our proportions are almost set. So we can't, you can't just lose fat in one area like they promise.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest scam when they say, oh, lose only fat in your belly. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I actually saw a link somebody sent me even just few days back saying that the food that we can take for losing belly fat.
But only belly fat, yeah, specifically.
Yeah, that's not possible because you need to lose fat all over the body before you can lose your belly fat. I mean,
it's
am I
all
correct?
in proportion.
Yeah.
It's not isolated, and that's something that people need to focus on.
And the other thing is that you have fat deposition in different areas of your body, which is again hormone dependent, and the food that you take, and generally the fat around the main organs like your heart, your liver, your kidneys, which is called the visceral fat, is more dangerous than the fat under the skin. Under the skin is called subcuticular fat. So this fat is better than the visceral fat, and it is always better to have subcuticular fat and not the visceral fat. So you need to actually lose fat from everywhere from your body, and then only you will be able to lose your visceral fat, because body has a tendency to hold on to the visceral fat. So if you have a pot belly and if you have problem with losing fat in your tummy, you have to lose fat from the other parts as well. So all these magical tricks like lose pot belly and all that, these medicines and this, it doesn't work. You have to take diet in a way that you have less calories and spend more by doing exercise, and you lose fat all over the body before you lose your belly fat. And even the exercises, you can't just do one exercise and lose your pot belly. You have to exercise your whole body and then only lose that.
I think another thing to consider would be alcohol consumption, because people forget that food's not the only way that you can get fat. I have friends, for example, that they take really less food, but they drink so much. They drink like a liter of wine, and then ask me why they're getting fat. Doesn't make sense to them. What they think is, okay, so I'll drink, for example, a less calorie drink, thus I'm drinking less calories. But what they don't realize is that alcohol's got an after metabolic effect where it stops where fat is being converted to usable glucose. Thus, you have more fat storage. And this is for after during the metabolism. So,
so this is a reason for the beer belly?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're actually taking calories without their knowledge, one thing. Second thing is that the fat doesn't mobilize after taking alcohol.
Yeah.
So they have a higher tendency of getting obese if they take alcohol.
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay. Anything else which would contribute? What about smoking? Does it contribute?
Smoking actually has a negative effect on weight gain. You lose weight.
We don't want to tell that.
In a bad way, in a wrinkly way.
It does have a lot of negative effect though. Okay.
Well, you could consider a metabolism there. So, your body is a machine that uses energy, that you eat. And metabolism is how much energy that goes by in your body. How can we increase these, and why do different people have different ones? This could be dependent on your gender. Like if you're a male, you have a higher metabolic rate than a female. If you are having problems with your hormones, you'd have a different metabolic rate. But there's some ways that you can, increase your metabolism, although not very practical. Some include being cold, exercise.
Yeah.
But what I want to focus on is how you can lose your metabolic rate, how you can lower it. So people that go on crash diets, like we discussed before, they lower their metabolic rate so much that after they diet, they lose weight, but then they gain back so much weight, and that weight is really hard to lose.
So they're actually heavier than they started.
Exactly.
Because they are not metabolizing, because they reduce the metabolic rate because of the dieting.
Exactly.
Okay, so you need to actually eat to lose weight.
Exactly. That is the way to go. Remember, sustainable. That's how we want to do
sustainable.
Yes.
Because
women, there was a study, women that even crash dieted once in their lifetime, lowered their metabolic rate their entire life.
So if you go on a diet and it can reduce your metabolic rate, you could stay at lifelong.
Exactly.
So it's quite bad for you.
It's so bad because you cannot change. It's really hard to increase that metabolic once it's gone down.
So not eating is not good for you.
Because your body goes into a stress mode thinking, okay, something's wrong.
And I need to save.
I need to save. And your body loves fat. It is your body's best form of energy efficiency.
Yeah.
Your body loves fat. It will not let go of it. The only way to lose fat...
It's a survival technique.
The only way to lose fat is to go from one steady state to another steady state really slowly and consistently, and not by crash dieting. Another thing you could do to increase your metabolism would be to eat at consistent time every day. So if you eat around the same hour every day, your body expects food and your metabolic rate goes up.
I know that's why kids needs to take breakfast properly, because their basal metabolic rate starts working, and then they actually study during the school hours. If they don't take breakfast, their brain doesn't work because it slows them down. Anything else we should talk about in a healthy diet, or we have done?
I think water is something that we've excluded from this conversation, and water is the single most important thing in all disease prevention and all kinds of dieting, everything. If you do all the tricks that we said and didn't drink water, it will have the negative effect. If you want metabolism, you want to exercise, you want to eat good, have to make sure you drink enough water. Otherwise, everything you do will have a negative effect, and it's really important.
I think we have had a wonderful discussion today on healthy diets, and there's a lot out there. We'll try and bring as many aspects, and there are a lot of myths actually about diet and all that. I think even as a doctors, we have a lot of myths. There are a lot of new studies coming up, a lot of research happening, and we can always look back into our ancestors because they have learned this over centuries and they know a lot of good stuff. So let's learn from our grandparents, our ancestors, and let's just not lose our traditions because it's quite good. So let's incorporate everything new and just keep everything old. Old is gold. And we'll try to bring you as much information as possible to get healthy because only healthy people have a capacity to reproduce, and only healthy couple can have a healthy child. And it is important to have a healthy child because we need the generations to come to be healthy, disease free. We'll try and aim and bring you as much of information as possible in these episodes of Conceive, and thank you so much for your input.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This program is brought to you by South Infertility and IVF.